Resources Manager, and I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to our inspiration session for Creative February. And just to let you know, as you probably heard just there, this session has been recorded for those people who can't make it this afternoon. We're going to talk you through Creative February to begin with. Then we're going to hear from Juliette Samond and the wonderful Cat's Guide that she's created for Creative February. We have a guest speaker from Fighting Words, Norna Conultig, and Katie Forsyth as well from the Chester Beatty will be talking to us about ways that you can engage with them and Creative February at the same time. We'll also leave some time for discussion at the end. So Creative February is a national celebration of creativity across all schools and educational centres in Ireland. It's a part of the Creative Schools programme led by the Arts Council in partnership with the Department of Education and the Department of Culture, Communications and Sport. We're a flagship initiative of Creative Ireland's Creative Youth Plan. We work towards putting the arts at the heart of children and young people's lives and ensuring that children and young people have a voice and a central role in creativity and education. Creative February is a month-long celebration of creativity that gives schools the opportunities to join the celebration at whatever stage they may be at. You may like to celebrate the creativity already happening in your school, you may be planning a creative event, or you may like to revisit some of the things that have already happened in your school. Creative February is a time to plant the seeds of creativity and celebrate the blossoms. This year, artist Grace Haynes has designed our Creative February poster. Grace worked with children from Gaelscoil Corrán in Youghal and young people from Lacala Community School in Ballincollig to consult on and contribute to this poster. From this work, Grace created the beautiful image on the screen, encouraging us to connect with nature this February. The poster gives the details of how to participate in Creative February. We've also provided a version in Irish, and you will notice at the top right of the poster, there is a QR code that will bring you to our Creative February page with lots of resources and suggestions for the month. The resources on our Creative February page range from a downloadable copy of the poster to a series of online workshops to help your classes to be creative. The page also includes our top 10 suggestions for participating in Creative February. These are suggestions, and we acknowledge that there are many ways to celebrate creativity in your school, and every school is unique. The suggestions come directly from the children and young people in Gaelscoil Corrán and Lacala Community School, and there are some lovely ideas to get out and celebrate connecting to nature this February. We have a very extensive range of creative webinars for Creative February 2026. Our offerings this year include music, writing, drawing, sketching, story time, and the mindful activity of mandala making. You can get started in plenty of time with artist John Lillis on the 23rd of January for 28 days in nature, creating an online reflective zine. All of the links to register for these webinars are on our Creative February page. I'll paste the link into the comments shortly just for ease of access as well. This year, Juliette Samond has collaborated with students from Clogher Road Community College to create a brand new guide to help you celebrate Creative February in your school. And Juliette is going to talk us through this guide shortly. We also have a PDF guide and video to support you and your students creating podcasts on our page. This was developed by artist Helen Flanagan with students from Gorey Community School and Breffni College in Cavan. And there are plenty of ideas to give voice to students during Creative February. Both of these resources highlight the prominence of youth voice in Creative February. There are a myriad of advantages to youth voice, and we encourage its centrality in creative schools. As teachers, you all value student voice in lots of ways, and innately, it's like a reflex. Creative February is a great opportunity to remind ourselves that children have something to contribute once we make the space. It doesn't have to be perfect, all we need to do is make that space. I'm going to hand over to Juliette now to talk us through the brilliant Cat's Guide, which gives wonderful support to youth voice during Creative February. So I'll stop sharing my screen, Juliette, and I will let you take over.
Hi, everybody. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here this afternoon. My name is Juliette. I'm a children's writer, and I am trying to do two things at the same time. The first one is talk to you, and the second one is try to share my screen. So just bear with me while I try not to panic. Is everybody seeing this absolutely gorgeous
Yes.
front cover? Super, thank you. So in the autumn, I was tasked with creating a kind of an event planning guide with a bunch of brilliant teen minds from Clogher Road in Crumlin here in Dublin. And that is what I did. We came up with what is now called the CATS Guide, the Creative Artists Team Event Planning Guide. Once you're a member of the team, you become a CAT, which is a cat. This guide was, let me show you some bits from inside. Yes, no, okay. It doesn't want to go anywhere. Sorry. I have to stop sharing and share again because this was the wrong one to share. This should be better now. So, as I said, it was written with teens, but we've tried to make it as wide-ranging and as inclusive as possible, so that kids and young people of all ages can work with it, and even you grown-ups, you should manage it. I think our plan was really to help all the kids and teens plan and put together their own creative events for in school for Creative February or for any time of the year. And here you can see the original cats as drawn by themselves. What you will find inside the guide is a bunch of techniques and tips for getting organized. So, for example, for putting together your team of cats, your team of creative students, we've got lots of ideas to help you do that. You will also find ideas for specific activities to try during your events, and you will find tools to make it all happen. Really, what we wanted to do was, first of all, we wanted to support and showcase the young people's creative skills and creative expertise. But also we wanted to support and showcase their other skills, such as leadership and organization and communication, because they will need all of these, and they have all of these. They just sometimes need a little bit of help with them. But they do have all of them, and they need them for organizing anything, including creative events. So this is all part of what we were trying to do. We also wanted to keep it really simple, really practical and useful, and also really cheap. So you'll see everything we suggest very much uses what you probably already have in school. And for example, over all the weeks that I went in to Clogher Road to work with the students and do workshops, all we had to buy really was a bunch of pipe cleaners and a pack of origami paper. And that was it, because everything else we used what we had. So as I said, the guide has kind of big things and small things because you actually need both. One of the big things, for example, would be how to start planning your creative event. So we have questions to help you figure out where you might want to go. Do you want to do something to watch, like a demo or a performance? Do you want to do something to make or do? Which can be a workshop, or are you going to do something to see, which is more like a display of existing work? And from one question, you move on to the next and the next and the next, and that's how you can flesh out your whole event. And to really help you and to really make it easy for everyone, you will see that every now and again you can find a blank version of a page from the guide so that you can fill it with your own notes, with your own answers. And that's how you plan, by just answering some questions. And you can see where it says on the left-hand side there's a pink speech bubble that says, go to page 33 to find a planning template you can fill in. All you have to do is click on that thing that says page 33 and it'll take you right there. So as I said, we really tried to make it really easy and accessible as a really simple PDF to use. One thing that we do as well as the big, it's the small things. So there are lots of try this pages with ideas of activities that you can try during your creative event. And we have tried and tested practically all of them, but all of them have come from students. So I'm sure that means they're all 100% doable. And certainly they're all 100% interesting and fun. For example, we did a whole range of impossible drawing activities with blindfold drawing, chain drawing, blind contour drawing. And for each of them, you'll see how to run it. It'll explain really simply what it is. And there's going to be as well a bunch of photos from when we tried the activities, because we did, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't just talk and have ideas. We put them together and we ran an event on poor unsuspected first years who were our guinea pigs for the day, and our cats, our resident cats, had put together their events. They had done the planning, they had done the prep, and they ran the event. So that was very, very useful on lots and lots of counts. But it's, the proof is in the pudding. It can be done because we did it. I wanted to show you this as well, which is the creative photo shoot. This was by far our favorite activity. It's something that you can use when you're putting together your group of cats or as an activity in its own right. All you have to do is gather a bunch of stuff from around school, around the house, and leave it there and ask the students to tell us that they're creative without telling you that they're creative. They just have to make their own something that shows their own brand of creativity. And again, for this, you can see there's pro tips and what you need and how it works and so on. So again, practical and quick. So because we ran our own event, we have our top tips to share. The main tip is time. Make sure to have plenty of time. And that's what you'll find towards the end of the guide. You'll find handy printables. You'll find room for your own notes. You'll find our top tips. And as I said, there's the quick access to everything. All you have to do is click either in the index at the end or throughout the guide or at the beginning with the table of contents. So we really hope you enjoy it. You could find the guide. I'm sure Sinead will put the link, but you can find it here as well if you just want to scan the QR code. It's a printable PDF, really handy, really simple, full of art made by teens, which I hope you will love just as much as I love this massive hand that was made by one of our cats. It is all made out of pipe cleaners. It is a thing to behold, and it is saying, see you in February. Enjoy and good luck.
Thank you so much, Juliet. That was brilliant. It looks like such an easy to use interactive guide, and brilliant that it is by the students and for the students. It sounds like you had a great time collaborating with the students of Clogher Road. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Just at this point to pause and see if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask Juliet or anything they'd like to share or say for Juliet. That's okay. I'm going to hand over now to Nora Niconultig from Fighting Words, who's going to talk us through ways of engaging with fighting words during Creative February. Thank you, Nora.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. Creative February is such a lovely celebration, so it's a pleasure to be along and to support this. I'm Nora Agus is Suir Edicha Schmei le Fighting Words. I'm Education Director with Fighting Words, but wearing my other hat, I'm also a Regional Coordinator with Creative Schools. So it's lovely to be wearing those both hats today. In case anyone hasn't heard of Fighting Words, we're a creative writing centre predominantly for young people, and we were set up in 2009 by Roddy Doyle and Sean Love. The first centre is was situated in Behan Square near Croke Park, and actually it's where Brendan Behan spent his childhood. We're going to be unveiling a plaque to Brendan this February. But Roddy and Sean had no idea of that connection when they found this place. So I like to think that Brendan was guiding the way. So our aim is to harness the power of young people's creativity to platform their voices, to celebrate their creativity, and to have lots of fun in the process. We have grown a lot over the past 15 years. So we started in Dublin, as I mentioned, but now we're in 18 centres across the country. So libraries and arts centres have been kind enough to partner with us and take on the Fighting Words workshops. So wherever you are in the country, hopefully you won't be too far away from one, whether you're in Westmeath or in Kerry or in Donegal. Hopefully there's a place somewhere nearby. We run a vast range of programs, both school programs and extracurricular programs. But I thought for today's purposes, I might just mention a few of the school programs. So we run daily primary and secondary school programs. So in the primary school, they get their book printed at the end of the session, which you see in the picture. In the secondary school workshops, they're offered playwriting, narrative writing, or songwriting. The songwriting is linked to social justice and that kind of thing. So if you have some particularly socially engaged young people, they might be interested in those. You might have seen our national newspaper insert. It comes out once a year, and that celebrates young people's writings. And then we have specialized projects. So, for example, maybe a book project happening at one school over the course of the year. If you saw the documentary recently on RTE, that documented the journey of the book project. And it's worth mentioning that all our programs are free of charge. It's a charity, and we don't want cost to be a barrier to any young person or to any school who is interested in our services. So, to Creative February, what could you do? Well, maybe a nice option for Creative February would just be, if you haven't established contact with Fighting Words and you're interested in doing so, maybe Creative February is a great opportunity just to reach out and make contact and establish that relationship, because Creative February is all about sowing those seeds. So maybe this is a seed that will come to fruition in a few months' time next year. But you could just reach out and say hello and make contact. I thought I might mention just a few creative writing ideas that you might be interested in trying in your own schools. For example, I came across an outdoor poetry trail when I was on holidays down in Sherkin Island in County Cork a few years ago, and it was really lovely. A local poetry group had written poems on luggage tags, and they'd tied them in various places around the island. So as you were walking, you were coming across these poems, and it was really beautiful. So that could be something to connect in with the theme of connecting with nature. Ag nasca leis an nádúr. It could be a nice thing to do. Cross-curricular projects also offer opportunities for bringing a lot of different subjects together and art forms together. I know one school, they focused on air as part of Creative February last year in my region, and they did a lot of exploration in really interesting ways, like science explorations, and creative writing could be part of that thematic cross-curricular approach. Blackout poetry is really nice, where it's the opposite of looking at the blank page. You're looking at a page full of text, and then you choose the text that you want to keep as your poem, and you black out all the rest of it. So this is a particular, on the top right-hand corner, you'll see a particularly artistic example of blackout poetry. Usually blackout poetry, they black out all the text that isn't used. But I love the artistry of this one that blacked out just some of the words using birds. So, and then drop everything and write could be another option to do as well. It's just simple and it's fun. I just wanted to signpost some resources that we have online. So if you go to our website and check out school programs and education resources, you'll find worksheets, workshop plans, a little video on haikus, that kind of thing. So it might be just you might just want to explore and see if there's anything there that might suit one of your classes or suit your setting. So as you can see on the right, we have some resources that link into other subjects as well. So be that science, we have some math stories as well. So you might find something of interest there. In the past, last Creative February, we collaborated with Creative Schools, and we worked out of our location in Laois, in Laois Library, I think it was. But Sinead is going to tell you a bit more about this one because Sinead was actually involved in organising this one. And so I'm going to hand it over to Sinead just to speak about this one.
Thanks, Nora. This was a gorgeous project last year that collaborated between Creative Schools and Fighting Words. Artist Aileen McHugh, who's a creative associate with us in Creative Schools, she worked in collaboration with Laois Library. And the project brought together children from Portarlington National School, Wolf Hill National School, Clonaslee National School, and Sculvrida to participate in Fighting Words workshops delivered by the library staff. There, you see them now there. It culminated then in work being published in a book titled Tales from Laois. And you can see the children holding a copy of the book there in the library. It's spelled TAILS because when students got together in their different workshops, all of their stories happened to focus on animals in all different ways. So all of their stories were put together in this book. There was a gorgeous event held in Portlaoise Library to celebrate the publication. And you can see it on the faces of the children there. It was just a lovely, lovely day of celebration and connection that marked a lovely collaboration with Laois Library and Fighting Words. So it might be something that you could consider planning or thinking about at this stage, or you might have a school that you've worked with before that you could work with again. The possibilities are endless, Nora, I think.
Thanks a million, Sinead. Sorry about my screen there. I just had some lovely pictures there from Sinead that I wanted to share, and I wasn't sure which screen I was sharing. But thanks, Sinead. And as I've mentioned at the start, maybe this Creative February, you just sow that seed by reaching out to Fighting Words, and maybe sometime down the future, something like this might happen. And I just wanted to finally mention an opportunity that we have for teachers. So we are running our first ever Irish language version of our popular Teacher Write Club. This is a teacher creative writing circle. So we're starting it in Irish on the 5th of February, and we'll be meeting in the evenings once a month for 3 months, and we'll be guiding you through prompts, as Gaeilge writing prompts. You'll meet and learn from guest writers and, of course, from your fellow teachers. And if anyone is interested in that, they can sign up at creativity.ede.ie. And if you would like to reach out about school bookings or anything, you can find us at info@fightingwords.ie, or you can contact me directly at nora@fightingwords.ie, and we have a lot of information there on our website. So just wishing you all the best with Creative February this year, and I hope it's a lot of fun for you and your students. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Nora. And just to give the opportunity, if anyone would like to ask a question or share anything with Nora. We'll move on to Katie from the Chester Beatty, who's going to share some of the resources from the Chester Beatty and ways that you can engage with them during Creative February. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you, guys. Thanks very much, Sinead. All right, so let me pull up my slides. Can you guys see that all right? Yeah, perfect. So yeah, once again, my name is Katie Forsyth. I'm the education officer at the Chester Beatty, and I want to thank Sinead and Creative Schools for having us on again and having us be a part of this, and thank you for everyone who is attending. I'm gonna talk a little bit, like Sinead said, about what we have available at the Chester Beatty. The Chester Beatty is, for those who aren't familiar, we're one of the 9 cultural institutions. We're located up in Dublin, and we have a really lovely world-class collection of primarily books and manuscripts and objects from all around the world. So a really, really rich, diverse collection. And I'm the education officer for schools and communities specifically. I also used to be a primary school teacher up until recently. I've been here at the Chester Beatty for the past year. And so with my background, one of kind of my big focuses was making sure what we offer for teachers is actually accessible and relevant to what you guys are all doing in the classroom. So I'm just going to talk a bit about what we have available. In the last year, we've developed primarily 3 resources, one for the primary level, so that's our Museum Explorers Self-Guided Trails. We've got a resource package for the Leaving Cert Art exam for our secondary area. And then we also have our teacher advisory group, so a resource specifically for teachers. Our Museum Explorers Self-Guided Trails, these are worksheets that are used to help kind of support and facilitate self-guided school visits to the Chester Beatty. So we are a free museum, free of charge. We really encourage schools to come in to visit us, especially our local schools. And these worksheets can be used by students, once again, at the primary level, so ages 8 to 12 roughly. And they help support students as they explore the galleries by giving them kind of prompts that encourage close observation, critical thinking, creativity, working together, and kind of in a convenient twist, they're currently being updated because our galleries are changing. So our galleries change every year. And so this year, our Arts of the Book gallery is being updated. And a lot of the pieces happen to be very seasonal themed, which I think is very fitting for Creative February. So, for example, we have this lovely print up here, which is Spring in the Four Courts. But hopefully soon our trails will reflect those objects as well. And just again, I want to emphasize that we want to make sure these trails are relevant for teachers. So they're directly linked to the primary language, history, and geography and art curriculum. They are being updated to reflect the new curriculum though. As I'm sure you're all familiar with, the new primary school curriculum was announced last fall. So as I'm updating the trails to include the new objects, I'm also updating all of the links to the curriculum because, like I said, we want to make sure these resources connect to what you're teaching in the classroom. Also, just to mention, I mentioned we're free of charge. We also, schools are entitled to free guided tours of the Chester Beatty as well. So if anyone ever wants to reach out, please take advantage, especially if you're in the Dublin area and you can take advantage of public transport. For our secondary school teachers and students, we are currently finishing up development of our Art Leaving Cert resource package. This is a resource package which has multiple different parts. So some of these resources are for teachers, some of them are for students. They can all be used in and out of the classroom. So it's an online resource, well, PDF based. And it's once again directly linked to the senior cycle art curriculum and to the format and the content of the Leaving Cert art exam. So it's like I said, we're in the middle of finishing it up. It should be ready hopefully in March, which should hopefully time in quite well for students and teachers getting ready for the Leaving Cert this spring. So not quite in time for Creative February, but definitely in time for the Leaving Cert exam. And we have our teacher advisory group. So this was an advisory group that we put together last fall. And it's really an opportunity for teachers who maybe are familiar with the Chester Beatty, have a particular passion for our collections or use our collections in their work. And it's an opportunity for you to contribute directly to the development of our schools program and our schools resources. So we'll meet multiple times a year, about 2 or 3 times, nothing too burdensome. And like I said, you'll have the chance to learn about what we're doing, what we're planning on doing, to contribute your insights, your ideas, what you feel students in your classrooms really need. We want your direct perspectives. So we had our first meeting. We have a lovely group of senior primary, secondary principals, administrators, but we'd like to grow this program, especially get more voices involved. So our second meeting is actually at the end of this month. It is going to be on site at the Chester Beatty. We'll be hosting other meetings later this year that will be hybrid for anyone outside of Dublin. But if it sweetens the deal, it's going to be on site at the Chester Beatty. We'll spend some time in the galleries. There might even be a cheeky glass of wine or two. So if you are in Dublin and you are a fan of the Chester Beatty and you're interested in learning more about us and contributing, please get in touch with us. We'd really appreciate that. And yeah, I think that's everything from me for the moment. I just really want to emphasize that we are so keen to work directly with teachers to get your insights and perspectives and to help make the resources we have and the resources we're developing accessible and relevant for you all. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. I've linked my contact details below. It's kforsyth@cbl.ie. And I've also included a link to our teachers and schools mailing list if you just want to keep up to date with what we're doing. But thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Katie. That was great. Thanks a million. Just to give the opportunity, if anyone has a question they'd like to ask Katie. Okay, we'll move along. Before we move on to our next section for discussion, just to draw your attention, for anyone who has not yet participated in the Creative Schools programme, the application window to be a part of the Creative Schools programme will open on the 24th of February with a closing date of the 30th of April. A one-off grant of €4,000, the support and advice of a creative associate to work with the school for up to 9 days in the school year, training for a school coordinator and access to a creative network are all part of the supports that are on offer as part of the Creative Schools programme. If you'd like any more information, you can visit the Arts Council website or you can email us at creativeschools@artscouncil.ie, and there's always someone on the team who'd be more than happy to talk to you or to give you some help and advice in filling out the application. The next section then, we're going to maybe open some breakout rooms to allow for some